So today from the Vox, America's new recycling crisis explained by an expert. In this article, they were talking about the fact that China is no longer accepting recyclable materials from the US. Um, as it turns out, the thing that I didn't understand about this story until recently is that most of the recycled goods that we collect and recycle in the US, for a better term, goes to China. It gets packaged up, compressed, sorted, all that, and we ship it off to China, where it is then recycled and turned into other goods like toys and things, ostensibly, that get distributed from there. Unfortunately, this isn't happening. It's leading to a bigger crisis now where these recycling centers and municipalities don't know what to do with these recyclables that they're still collecting. In some instances, it's just canceling the programs altogether or dumping them in the landfills. For me, the shocking part of all this is that growing up as a kid, I was constantly hammered, hey, you got to recycle, reduce, reuse. You got to, don't throw these bottles in the trash can. You got to put them in the little blue trash can. And we had those all over the high school. There was a slot for the paper, a slot for cans, a slot for bottles. And it was always pushed. Big deal. And now it turns out what I thought was happening was all of this material was getting collected in the US and being turned into new goods that were going back out into the market. And while some of that is true, it's mostly that we were just selling it for profit. So the dark, dirty side of recycling is that not only was it sort of questionable in my mind for a long time, but it was also just a for-profit industry.
I think that the main takeaway from this is it's just another story that sort of puts right in the forefront of your mind the fact that, like, we are utterly unprepared for the coming ramifications of our consumption. We are utterly unprepared to deal with all the trash, with the emissions, with the changing climate, with social conditions. All of these things are coming, and we're not ready for them. It also says, go ahead.
I was going to say, and it's to such an extent now that even when there are news articles, there's almost no conversation about it. There's almost nobody out there talking about, like, well, this is a problem and we need to figure this out and we need to be better about our waste and so forth. It's just sort of these fringe opinions, it seems like, that, nobody, and it shouldn't be fringe. And that's the problem, is it's not a fringe opinion to say, like, it matters what we do with these materials that are harmful. Instead, let's just, a lot of cities, they're not even opening it to debate. They're just dumping it in the landfill because they can't sell it. It's not worth anything to them anymore. So it's just going into the pile where it's going to sit for hundreds of thousands of years potentially. It's super gross, and it needs to be discussed. We need to address it. We need to push forward these issues of not just the oncoming crisis that this is probably just the first step in, but also the greater climate crisis as a whole. This is one of the things that we can do to address those types of problems, and nobody seems to care. It's a problem that it's just like the garbage. You just toss it in the bag and you toss it out on the curb, and it's out of sight, out of mind. It really shouldn't be. It really should be at the forefront of all of our efforts to make not only America better, but make the climate better, to make our own lives and homes better. So it's disheartening to see that, we were kind of lied to from the beginning, and now that the problem has come to fruition, nobody actually wants to do it.